West Ham, let's give them some credit. They've been fantastic so far. Yeah. And it quietly have gone about assembling a really, really good squad. Like you look at that West Ham team, how many of them would get into the Newcastle team? More than I think people would kind of think off the top of their head without looking at it. All of a sudden, like there's some real quality in that team. Like Paqueta's obviously really well blooded in now. Ward-Prowse has been excellent. They've seen Jarrod Bowen get back into the England setup. He's been fantastic recently. And then they've still got players that they're yet to integrate. I'm sure we'll talk about one of them in a moment because he managed to get himself on the score sheet.
Well, I think both teams have come of age in Europe, haven't they, lately? Newcastle's first 2 games have been impressive in the Champions League. West Ham are on a mad unbeaten run now, aren't they, in Europe, which is
the longest of any English team.
It's ridiculous how confident they are in Europe. And I think that carried on into this game, although they were probably a little bit tired. That first sucker punch of a goal from them was so well crafted. Like Paqueta's pass from deep into Emerson, I think it was, who then set up Souček beautifully.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Such great technical ability from a West Ham team who you don't normally associate that kind of craft with. So for them to take the lead was deserved, and I think it shocked Newcastle a little bit until Isak scored his really quick brace, which then did the reverse on West Ham. So it was an entertaining game that ebbed and flowed a little bit, but the quality I thought was there. And then the icing on the cake was the winning goal late on from Mo Kudus, who had a fantastic game, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny because we're still yet to see him start a game for West Ham. I think he's played 72 minutes in the Premier League so far across 5 substitute appearances. And we know how talented he is as a player. And it's funny because it's an excellent sign-in because we would talk about the problem with Newcastle being their lack of depth. And then we could also criticise West Ham for signing a player that they can't get into their starting 11. So it's a fine balance to have when you're in these European competitions. And actually having an option like him off the bench was probably what got them a point in this game. So that's really crucial. But you have to be wondering how he gets a place in that starting 11 now. Because he's a phenomenal player, Kudus. We all know that. But when he's trying to occupy the same space as Jarrod Bowen, who's been in such good form as well, where do West Ham integrate him in a more permanent setting? It's a challenge that Moyes will have to balance. And not necessarily one he's always been successful with, if we're honest. Moyes has kind of struggled before at keeping a wider squad happy and bringing in talent who aren't really either academy products or kind of British staples. Kudus is someone that has shone in Europe before and could definitely help West Ham be successful across the season. But I hope that they manage to utilise his talents well because he's such a good player to watch.
Yeah, it's another dimension to West Ham. And again, it's a sign of, I guess, the recruitment that they're going into now. West Ham, now they're growing in stature in Europe, especially, and hopefully in the league. And I thought the game was really entertaining for a neutral. I really enjoyed the goals. I thought they were all really well taken.
West Ham as a team, you mentioned, Mike, about Kudus. I think what obviously Moyes is looking to do is probably not cause too much disruption to, his front line. I think defending from the front is something that he likes to do, and obviously his inclusion of, Antonio, who really hustles and, harries opposition. I think he's looking to see where he fits in. I think the problem is you've got to give him an opportunity at some point because he's arguably the most talented player in that team alongside Paqueta, who's on another planet at times. The way he manoeuvres the ball and manipulates the ball.
Alvarez as well. Worth mentioning.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think he slotted in so well. We know Ward-Prowse already. We've already talked about that with West Ham, but that midfield. Regenerating that midfield after Declan Rice has gone completely as well. Yeah. Like 3 brand new players.
Well balanced as well.
Yeah, really well. And Souček kind of adds to that as well. And it looked like he was kind of on his way out in the summer for a while, didn't it?
I've seen a lot of West Ham fans saying that, Alvarez has actually made the Declan Rice departure and almost it's kind of been brushed under the carpet a little bit. He's started really well in this game. He's probably arguably their man of the match.
Absolutely it has, because if you think about it, if West Ham had lost their first 5 or 6 games, all we would be talking about is, they're really missing Declan Rice. We've seen that with so many clubs who lose a big player. Definitely. And all you end up talking about is, this result would have been so different if they'd had. We haven't had that conversation. As much as we've praised Declan Rice at Arsenal, we've not really talked about him being at West Ham, have we? Because they haven't needed it.